Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Lapman. I am Joseph Lapman. Welcome into the Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate that on the way in here. And welcome back to the Real. I hope you guys are having a great Monday afternoon. Um, yeah, at least it's nice out. It's summertime. Definitely are heading into summer now, and the weather's nice, but not a lot of good things going on in the Cleveland sports world today. Well, outside of the Browns, obviously getting ready for OTA. Not a whole lot going on there. The Guardians are at the beginning of the season, and we'll see how it looks before we get to the postseason if they're there. But the Cavs, though, obviously the biggest topic around town today is the Cleveland Cavaliers as they got swept officially last night, which I predicted they would the night before. Um, I said on Sunday night basically was already given the eulogy for the season, and so here we are. The Cavs are officially out, and they've been swept. And not that they get swept last night, but they lost in a very humiliating fashion at home. One of probably, I've seen some bad Cavs losses, but I think last night might have been the most embarrassing loss I've ever seen. Um, because maybe more than the only other game I could think of where it was that embarrassing of a loss. I mean, obviously we've had some bad loss. Like game one, obviously was a colossal loss, but I'm talking about embarrassment in terms of like just as a fan, you feel like, man, these guys quit. Like they just don't really care. Like this is just an embarrassment to the city. This is the this is the group that's representing our our town, our city with Cleveland on it. Like this is it. This is what we got right here. And I think that's what last night it was one of the worst. I don't know if I'd say it the word. It was one of the worst. I didn't really like watch the game intently. Like I was at a place that had it on, so I was able to just watch it as it was happening. And I kept looking at the score, watched a little bit, and I'm like, my gosh, this is embarrassing. Like this is like, I understand you're not going to come back and win the series, but have some pride. You know what I mean? Like have some pride. I think the 2017 when the Cavs went down 3-0 to the Warriors and they had that bad game 3 loss at home, it was a heartbreaker. KD came down and hit that pull up 3 after LeBron passed it out to Corver and he missed it. And the Cavs still came back in game 4 though and won and dominated that game at home. And then they went out to game 5 and Golden State and lost, but they at least had some pride. Like we're not getting swept. You're not gonna sweep us in our own home stadium. But I feel like, last night though, just to go out there and lay on your back like that from the start of the game and just mail it in for the season, that's pretty concerning. And I got a lot of concerns about this franchise moving forward that I didn't have before the season. And I had questions about the team before the season. And then during the season, a lot of the things I saw on the court came true and came to fruition in the postseason. A lot of the transition defensive things, the defensive problems, the offense at times being lackadaisical, no intention, with no real strategy and just playing ISO and jacking up threes. All these things I point out to high turnovers. I point out to you guys throughout the season, shooting too many threes. And it all came to fruition in the postseason. And so shout out to Wally. He said, "What's up, everybody? This will be a good live today." B Skrill's good to see you. I barely watched the series after game one, honestly. I can't blame you after that. Yeah. So what's next for the Cavs? Where are they gonna go from here? Salute to you, brother. Where are they gonna go from here? And so after last night was like, there's zero chance you bring back Kenny Atkinson. How in the hell would you bring back Kenny Atkinson? Because we heard Kenny. You watched my show Sunday night. I went on an hour and a half, almost 2 hour, just long rant. While he joined me at the end, but basically just unpacked all the things Kenny Atkinson was saying to the media about, analytically they were up 2-1 in his world. And then yet before yesterday's game, it didn't stop there. Then before yesterday's game, Kenny's like, this is probably a must win tonight. When like, no crap, you're down 0-3. If you lose tonight, you're going home. So, Kenny hasn't done the best job speaking publicly this playoff series. A lot of the comments he's made publicly to the media, it's just you're just scratching your head like, why would you even say that? And then you see him in the locker room before the games giving his speeches. You see Donovan Mitchell multiple times this series and really throughout the playoffs at times, but multiple times this series, leading the huddle during timeouts and trying to get guys up and yelling at guys like, let's go. And there just seems to be no control and just no accountability and just no real grasp on this team from Kenny Atkinson. And then I wake up this morning, I see a lot of reports coming out that some of the rotational guys, are upset at Kenny about the way he's went through about a lot of his rotation this playoffs, and that they're upset about it. Then you heard there was rumors of people in the organization didn't really like these comments that Kenny put out. Then you see Dan Gilbert's tweet last night after the game, and Dan's tweeting more after games more frequently recently, which means he's definitely back involved. And it says, "We took a step ahead this spring, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. I can't thank the fans enough for the support this year. We will dig in all summer, do everything we possibly can to take the next step. We will grind until we get there. Congrats to the Knicks and best of luck in the finals." And so a lot of things, there was a lot to unpack there. Number one, he gave a classy tweet out to the Knicks fans and congratulated them. But also, we took a big step this spring. Yeah, we finally made it to the conference finals, but we're going to dig all in this summer. They're going all in this summer to do whatever they can to upgrade and fix this thing. And he said, we will grind until we get there. And they will do everything they possibly can to take the next step. And so, I see this tweet last night and I put all this together. I'm thinking, when I got up today, and a lot of people felt this way, that I'm like, there's no way Kenny Atkinson. I'd be surprised if he's retained, because all the signs are pointing towards everybody. And you listen to all the local, national reporters, everybody had the feeling this morning. It was like, yeah, I think Kenny's going to be gone. And then here we get to about an hour ago, 3:00, and it's breaking news. Kenny Atkinson is retained as the Cavs head coach. And I'm just sitting there like, what? You just got embarrassed on your home floor, swept out of your own gym. I mean, and the final score last night, if you want me to say it, 130-93, and it was never close. Never close. I mean, it was an absolute abomination of a game. 22 turnovers for the Cavs. The Knicks had 60 rebounds to the Cavs 33. The Cavs shot 43s, what do you know, for 28%, the usual. I mean, it was a vintage Cavs game last night when it mattered most. Fast break points, they gave up 33. They only scored 9. Points in the paint, they gave up 50 to their measly 36. Again, 22 turnovers. Are you kidding me? I mean, but the rebounds, 60-33 on the rebounds. But let's run it back. Just got to have them. Like that, just got to have Kenny. It's like, what are we doing? You're running it back. You're running it back with the coach that said the worst comments I think I've ever heard a coach say before, as they're losing a series. Every time I always got on Jared Allen about how the lights were too bright, the comments he made back in 23. Hey, this is a whole, that ain't even in the same ballpark as what Kenny Atkinson said. Analytically, we're up 2-1. Hey, Kenny, are you getting ready for Game 5 tomorrow night still? And so they brought this guy back. And you get to clearly tell when your team quits like that and your coach isn't bitching guys out. Did you see the Spurs coach the other night yell at Stephon Castle during that game? And you wonder why they're tied 2-2 right now and basically beat up the Thunder pretty good the other night and could possibly win this series. And even if they don't win the series, they're still in damn good shape moving forward. And you see how hard they play. Greg Popovich storming into the locker room after Game 3, yelling at the guys. And you wonder why they are, but they are. But then you look at the Cavs. Has Kenny Atkinson ever yelled at anybody? No. I've never seen Kenny. He's yelled at nobody. The only time Kenny Atkinson showed a little fire was in Game 7 against the Pistons, and you saw the result. Subbing guys out when they were messing up. That's the only time I've ever seen Kenny Atkinson actually step up and hold people somewhat a little bit accountable. And probably because he had to, because if he would have lost that game, he'd have lost to the coach they fired to replace him with. And so it would all been bad. But it's still bad either way. You thought he escaped that, not having to deal with losing to JB. He made it worse himself with the comments. I mean, the fact they want to run it back with this guy after the team has completely quit. And it's only because of two reasons: Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And that really concerns me because if they want to run it back next year with Kenny and James Harden, Donovan Mitchell as the lead guys, like the same rock, and they're never going to win. They're never going to win. You can't win with this current setup. You can't win with Donovan Mitchell as the best player of your franchise. You just can't. He's not that guy. All right. I liked what he said last night after the game. I like that he apologized to the city. I like that he, uh, was trying to get guys motivated during the game, and I'm glad he's committed to the city of Cleveland. I think it's great, but he's just not the leader of a franchise. He's not going to lead you to a championship. He don't have that it factor to get him over the top. And it's not even really a talent thing. I mean, we know how talented he is. He just doesn't have that leadership intangible, that dog that you have to have. Like, just I think one thing Kenny and James and Donovan, I could tell, all have in common with each other is they like to all be liked by everybody. They like to get along with everybody. They don't like to be very confrontational in like a direct way. Like Donovan stand up in front of the team last night saying, "Come on, guys, let's go." I've seen that, and I've seen high schoolers do that when they're getting their asses handed to them. Okay, that's like good. Looks good publicly. Congrats, Donovan. I like you did it, but it's too late by then. Because people are even questioning you at times. Wait, where the hell were you in some of these games? Where were you late in the fourth quarter in game one? Where were you then when your team gave up a 20-point lead? Were you screaming and yelling then? No. And so, again, I think they all have something in common. And Kenny being the head coach, the reason why it concerns me because they just look to me from the outside looking in, based on their actions, reading the room, looking in from a bird's eye view, and all the things we know, that all the stuff I uncovered, I put out there on, or I reacted to on Sunday. That's been out there. That Kenny said, and just following this team all year. It just seems like a bunch of enabled stars at the top. And because Kenny, who I think when he was in Brooklyn, he was kind of similar in Brooklyn though. He was a little more fiery in Brooklyn before Katie and Kyrie got there. But one thing he's always had in common with his coaching style, he likes to play really small lineups, and a lot of times his rotations get a little out of whack. And I think the reason why he ultimately got fired in Brooklyn was because Kyrie and Katie wanted him out. And so I think what Kenny has learned from that experience is next time I get a head coaching job, I'm never going to allow myself to be put in that position again. And there's a reason why Donovan Mitchell came out last night after the game and talked about, I believe I have that quote up here. Right here. It says, quote, "It's just hilarious," talking about the criticism of Kenny Atkinson. He said, quote, it's just hilarious." Mitchell said Monday night, "We've done something that we haven't done since 2018. There's got to be criticism everywhere on Kenny, but why? Or excuse me, there's going to be criticism everywhere on Kenny, but why? We did it, but we did it with Kenny. We didn't just go out there and coach ourselves. I love Kenny. We love Kenny. We ride with Kenny, and ultimately, that's all that matters." Yeah, this is really concerning, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I've already told you a little, but again, I think you have a star right here who likes Kenny Atkinson because Kenny Atkinson has enabled him. Kenny Atkinson won't be confrontational to Donovan. Kenny Atkinson, I don't believe, and then maybe I'm wrong. This is pure speculation on my part. But again, your actions speak louder than your words. And you can tell us whatever goes on behind the scenes because we're not there and blah, blah, blah. But when it matters most, when it's time to show up and show the results in the postseason, I've seen otherwise. And what I saw this past postseason was zero accountability, like I said. Donovan Mitchell not being put. You heard what Amon Shumpert said the other day, former Cavs champion, about after after game 3, he came on Sports Center and said, a guy like Donovan, it just doesn't seem like he's really getting that coaching that he shared a story about Ty Lue when Ty Lue confronted LeBron in game 7 and said, "LeBron, I know you're out there doing everything, but it's just not enough." Right? He said it's just not enough. And I have that clip, actually. I'm going to play that clip again because it kind of gives a lot of context into what I'm trying to explain here about why I think Donovan really wanted him back. and why James really wanted him back, because you have two superstars who I think like to do it their way a little too much and don't like, and I just wonder if they like to be held accountable. I just wonder if, you hear what Donovan said there. That was, I mean, why do you even mention, he says it's just hilarious that people are criticizing Kenny. We've done something that we haven't done since 2018. Well, you weren't part of that we in 2018. You have no idea what they went through in 2018 or the years prior to that, because you've never been a part of something like that. And so for you to say that if that's your ticket to why we all should stay, why you guys should buy in and believe in us, this is the same guy who said last year when they lost, you guys are going to write us all off next year. I already know it. And you say all the right things. Like I said, he always says all the right things, but then when he comes to actually doing it, he fades away. He doesn't get it done as a alleged superstar. To me, he's just a star. But to sit up there and say you guys, like, it's basically what he's trying to say is like, you guys should be grateful that we even made it to, we got you back. Like, how dare you criticize us? Like, how, I know we just got our ass blown out at home. We got swept, you know. I know we folded over tonight, and basically we really quit the last two games in front of our home fans. I know we gave up this defensive effort. Where's that picture I have from the last game? Game 3. I know this was on our home court right here, but you guys should be grateful for what you have. That we went out there and quit and embarrassed you and let all the New York fans come in and chant MVP to Jalen Brunson. I mean, like, and Kenny says all the dumbest things before these games this postseason, but you guys should be grateful, right? It's hilarious that everybody's criticizing Kenny Atkinson. We've done something that hasn't been done since 2018. And it's just like, dude, what are you talking about? But again, I think he genuinely loves having Kenny Atkinson as his head coach, because like a lot of these stars nowadays, they hate being held accountable. It's in college football, college basketball. Everybody's always, you criticize a guy, you hold a guy account. Oh, I'm hitting the portal. It's in high school football, and trust me, I'm around it. I know. You try to hold guys accountable. It's like all hell breaks loose. I mean, they have a complete meltdown. These enabled, entitled stars, some superstars. Everybody wants. It's just zero accountability, and I think Donovan is one of those guys, and that's why Donovan finds himself with the same results every postseason, because he doesn't like to be held accountable. He wants to do it his way. He wants to be liked. He wants to be loved. And I think Donovan's genuinely a nice guy. And I am glad that he wants to be in Cleveland. I think it's great. But at some point, to be the man, you got to beat the man. But also, you got to understand how that guy became the man. And you don't get to the mountaintop doing it the way he's doing it. And I think that's what he fails to understand. And even a guy like Iman Shumpert, who was a role player, made a career for himself. And that's not diminishing Iman Shumpert. He was a very good role player, one of the best on-ball defenders in the last 20 years that I saw. Guy was great. I mean, fast hands. I mean, defensively, he was great. Big part of that Cavs championship team, because he could go out there and make it tough on a Steph Curry, and for 7 games. And you hear a guy like this the other night come out who's been around a locker room with the great LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, the big 3. He knows a little something about what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. And it don't take a swami to figure it out. All right. And so here was Iman Shumpert the other night after game 3, when they folded at home in the fourth quarter and completely quit, about what he sees with Donovan Mitchell.
Better, but not enough better. And Donovan Mitchell is a guy that I feel is a star, but I want to see even more from him in games like this, particularly in this game. And I just don't get that.
Well, I'll give you a little story I had. During the playoffs, well, it might have been a championship. During the championship, LeBron James was out there killing, doing everything for us at both sides of the floor. T. Lue came in at halftime, raised both his arms up and said, "Bro, I know you're playing well. I need more." I need more. Bron looked around like, I'm doing everything. But we need more. And when you look at somebody like Donovan Mitchell, you know what he possesses to score the basketball first. But the effort, he is an athlete. I don't care. Honestly, you got the nickname Spider Mitchell. I don't care if you tired. I don't care if you banged up.
Yeah.
Do it without the mask. Save the bus. Save the girl. Take the punches, the broken ribs. That's why you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When I look at this team, I look at guys that feel like sometimes somebody needs to put them in position. Somebody needs to show them the way. No. Half the things that are going on with Cleveland is effort.
And I don't ever prematurely bury anybody, but history says they're done because no one's ever escaped out of this.
Well, luckily,
Yep.
I'm a guy that's been on the wrong side of, a record like this.
Right.
Whether anybody includes them in the conversation is irrelevant. If they can, first off, decide, one, we're going to take note to, honestly, just watch a little film. Let's watch some film and decide, hey, James Harden, 6 turnovers, 8 made field goals. You see where the problem is.
Yeah.
Let's watch some film. Blow-bys, people attacking you in transition, people attacking you in the half court. You have to see these things and say, I'm going to step up and I'm going to have some pride about it. And it's got to be a collective, because I didn't see a lot of high fives from the Cavs today. I didn't see them bringing each other together on the free throw line.
Mhm.
The effort, the I don't want to curse, to give AF,
Yeah.
to care. It's nice to care.
And that's courtesy of ESPN. And that's before Game 4 last night. Again, that's Amon Shumpert, and a lot to unpack there. But they didn't really give an F last night, did they? They didn't do anything he said they should have did. And this is a guy that's actually been there and done that. James Harden, 5 turnovers last night, 0-6 from 3. They quit. And again, if you had 2 guys who really gave a bleep like he said, that wouldn't have happened last night. And New York still may have won the game, but it wouldn't have went down like that. But again, these are the same 2 guys that are up there campaigning for Kenny Atkinson after the game, after they got swept in a humiliating fashion, where they gave up a 22-point lead in Game 1 and got bombed off the floor in Game 2, quit at home in the fourth quarter in Game 3, and then completely got humiliated in one of the most embarrassing fashions you'll ever see in Game 4 last night in their own gym. And so, again, they didn't take note to any of that. And there's a reason why those 2 were out campaigning today for him, because they like Kenny Atkinson, because Kenny Atkinson enables them. Kenny Atkinson doesn't hold them accountable. And they like to do their own thing. And like Donovan said, just be grateful. Just be grateful that we've been there. We've done something that hasn't been done since 2018. And he'll sit up there and say the same thing. And, oh, man, it sucks. And blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. But it's like, dude, if you really want to become the man, you got to be willing to sacrifice to be the man. And he's not willing to pay that sacrifice, which is why, okay, you're bringing Kenny Atkinson back. All right, you're going to bring Kenny back. The Cavs, why they're indebted to Kenny Atkinson, here's where I'll defend Kenny a little bit. When you listen to Kenny Atkinson before the postseason, I said, remember I told you guys some of those comments he was making leading up to the postseason about the defensive woes they had, that it was a little concerning. Like, why is Kenny trying to take shots to his team through the media to try to get them to, like, this is what I need you to do? Maybe Kenny, because in some areas, Kenny did do a good job this year in terms of when they had all the stuff throughout the season, he still got them all the way to the conference finals. He deserves credit for that. They won 2 Game 7s. He deserves credit for that. I don't think it's all on Kenny. I looked at Kenny because the way he was talking before the games, this series, and to watch the team quit and not really be challenged, that concerned me. That's why I was like, okay, I think Kenny probably should go. But here's where I'll defend Kenny a little bit. At the end of the day, you're dealing with grown men. Like, this isn't college, this isn't high school. Did I want to be up there throwing chairs in the pregame speech? No. I want to be a little more animated, in terms of, like, not to say and like screaming and yelling, but like be a little more direct in what you're saying. But I almost feel like Kenny feels like he lost this team. Like, that these superstars or stars, quote unquote superstars, that he has at the top, he can't get to those guys. Those guys will not, like, it is what it is. I love the guys, he's probably going to be saying, but I can't get them to do what I need them to do all the time. Like, these 2 guys are going to do what I saw Steph Curry do in Golden State. on that championship run. They're not willing to pay that sacrifice. And so, and they're just not as good. But, I think when he looks at Harden and Mitchell and all these guys, the core four, I think he may think to himself, and it's a speculate on my part, but I think there's somewhere in that mix where there's something wrong there. And I just feel like if I'm the Cavs, maybe the reason why they brought Kenny back is because they know that. Maybe Kenny expressed that to them throughout the season. Like they understand what's going on behind the scenes. And maybe they feel, let's get another star in here that's actually done that, or two, and we'll make these guys have to either just buy in, and they don't have a choice. That we're gonna have to just bring in, like we don't have the leader of the pack here still. We have the talent. We're almost there. We got to make adjustments, but we really need that final piece or two to get us over the hump. The guys that actually can lead us to the mountaintop, that have been there. And if the coach can't command these two guys, we'll have two people in here. We'll make those guys command, or else it's gonna be shit out of luck for them. And so I think that could be what's happening here, because I don't see any other way why you'd bring back Kenny Atkinson. The breaking news again: Kenny Atkinson retained as the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. If you're just 20, if you're just tuning in, please like, subscribe, and share. I will drop the link here shortly. You guys can come up and share your opinions and give your takes on all things going on with the Cavs right now. But here's the report from Shams Charania of ESPN earlier, breaking down why the Cavs brought back Kenny Atkinson.
For more, we welcome back in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what do you got?
Malika, sources tell me that Kenny Atkinson will return as head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers for his third season. His job is safe. Over his first 2 years as coach of the Cavaliers, he's had a franchise best win percentage of over 70%. The end was ugly, though. It was a sweep, or to the Knicks, I should say. But year-over-year growth for the Cavs. Second round last season, coach of the year for Kenny Atkinson, the conference finals this year, and he's got the support of Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And this is the first conference finals for the Cavaliers without a LeBron James-led team in 34 years. So there's a lot for the Cavaliers to deconstruct now over the coming days and weeks. I expect the Cavaliers front office to be opportunistic with potential roster upgrades this offseason.
For more, we welcome back in.
And so that's Shams Charania of ESPN. So a lot to unpack there, which kind of transitions into my last part of my opening statement here. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around, and a lot to unpack, obviously. So let me get through this here, and I'll open up the floor for you guys again. But, so he mentioned there about Kenny has the, highest win percentage of a first time, or of a, I think a head coach for the first two seasons in Cavs history or something like that. Kenny's had a lot of success in terms of winning, in terms of his win percentage and stuff like that. When I think back, and I think about what I just told you guys, because I'm sitting here thinking, why would you bring this guy back after all we just saw and witnessed against this Knicks team, and what we saw throughout the regular season at times, the effort not being there. And I just keep thinking back. I think Kenny Atkinson may believe that he doesn't have that real alpha leader, that true number one available to him right now. And maybe that's why Kenny just said what he said. Maybe Kenny was being a smartass to us when he said the analytical comments. Maybe Kenny threw in the towel a little bit. I'm not saying he just stopped doing his job. Obviously, he went out there, but I mean, the team kind of reflected it. They went out there and quit last night. There's no other way around it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Maybe Kenny just said, "The hell, I can't win with this group. We can make it to the conference finals, but we're not beating these upper echelon teams, and because I don't have that true number one yet." And then the reason why I said, because you hear the message following him. When you listen to his report there, after he announces why they're bringing him back, he says, expect him to be pretty much what he said was they're going to be aggressive in the market and trying to get somebody in to upgrade this roster and to get basically another star in here. And that's what Dan Gilbert signaled last night. And so I think that's what's going on here. I think the Cavs believe, Donovan, I think they've realized that Donovan internally, they believe Donovan's a true number two. He doesn't have that it factor to be a leader on a championship team. Not a talent thing. Doesn't have the leadership quality and the intangibles to be a leader on a number one, to be a number one on a championship team. James Harden is who he is. We got to go out and try to get somebody to come in here who's done it before and to be the leader of the pack. And we'll go from there, and we'll give Kenny another shot with that guy as his lead guy. I think that's the only way they're going to – that's the only way that they're thinking and their logic on this. Now, who would that be? That's a whole nother thing, because you look in the house already. You got Donovan, right? So you got Harden. Let me write that. You got James. You got Mitchell, right? You got the core four, the rest of the core four. Mobley and Allen. Allen is definitely number 3 or 4 on the team, probably a 4, and he's not a leader. Mobley, love Evan Mobley, but not a leader, not the leader of the pack. So you have to try to take Mobley and Allen, I think, because James is coming back. James isn't going anywhere. Mitchell's not going anywhere, right? But what do you do? Your 2 biggest pieces you have to try to acquire that number 1, or maybe 2 number 1s, is Mobley and Allen. That's what you have. Mobley is the first piece I look at because he has the most value. Okay, and I thought Evan played pretty. I thought Evan overall had a pretty good postseason. I thought, especially this round, I thought he was okay at times. I had to think he didn't get the ball enough in game 3 or game 2, I think it was. But I don't think we lost because Evan is who he is. And do I think Evan's been poorly developed? Yes. I don't think I don't think Evans had the coaching he should have gotten the first 5 years of his career. And I know a lot of people are putting that out today. I've been saying that for a while. They had never utilized him properly. They never put him in the right spots. With JB, they wanted to stand out and be a spot-up 3-point shooter and be more like KD and Chris Bosh in Miami. But then when and that's what they've always wanted to be. And then with Kenny, it's like when he had a rolling in game 2, has 14 points in the first half, you don't let him – he hasn't had a single shot attempt in the second half. That's your job as a coach, to get him a shot. And so, again, and somewhat on him for demanding the ball, but that's not his personality. And that's where you as a coach have to have a little more self-awareness, understanding your team, obviously, but also, like, let's make sure we get him the ball where he shoots the ball. But again, the Evan Mobley thing's a whole thing. That's a whole show in itself. But those are your 2 most valuable assets. So what could you get for Evan Mobley? Well, before I came on this live today, I was 2 minutes late because there was a breaking news from Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst was on the NBA Today show this afternoon, and here's what he had to say.
Even if they want to keep this roster together, which I frankly don't expect, I expect them to make some significant changes to it. They have some free agents they need to sign, their own free agents. Dean Wade, for example, started the bulk of this blast as a free agent. So, but I expect the Cavs to be mulling over. Like, I don't think you will be long before you start to hear Cavs attached to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Would they consider entering that market? If they put Evan Mobley on the table, as hard as that would be, Evan Mobley is in his mid-20s. When they drafted Evan Mobley, okay, they drafted him to be another Giannis. What if they could turn him into Giannis with Harden and Donovan Mitchell on the roster? They have not crossed that bridge yet, but that is something that they may have to consider, especially as we lead up to the draft and the Bucks get serious about listening to offers for Giannis.
Right.
And so, again, that was earlier today. He said he does expect to make significant changes to the roster, and that you could definitely see Giannis Antetokounmpo's name, who we've talked about that. That was a report that came out during the playoffs that back at the trade deadline, the Cavs were offered Giannis, and they chose not to do the deal for Mobley. That was a report. Well, now that they went through this whole thing, and you got to get a true number 1 in here and a guy who's actually done it before, Giannis makes a lot of sense. And here's the full report again from Brian Windhorst that came out. It says ESPN's Brian Windhorst stated on NBA Today he expects the Cleveland Cavaliers to make, quote, significant changes to the roster during the offseason, including a potential trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. You heard what he just said there about that. And so Giannis is the guy for Evan that makes a lot of sense. The Bucks want Evan Mobley. I think they view a guy like that who has been productive in this league, has shown what he can be still, and can still take more leaps in his game. I think for the Bucks, that's a good deal for them. Because you look at all these other teams like Miami. If they get a deal done with Miami, Miami's not trading Bam. They've made that clear. They would have been around Tyler Hero and draft picks. But it's like, what? I don't know how it would be Tyler Hero, a bunch of players, and like draft picks. But you look at the rest of their team; that's not like a significant move for Milwaukee. Like you're trading Giannis Antetokounmpo, a superstar, top 5 player in the league when healthy, for Tyler Hero and a bunch of draft picks and some other players that may be decent. But those draft picks, if Miami is expected to be good, they're not going to mean much. So it's like, what good? I don't see. I mean, Miami, I think, has been the most logical team right now because that's the only destination that Giannis would want to really go to that's been realistic. But the Cavs, though, I think he would consider and he doesn't have a trade option. But for the Bucks, though, it makes a lot of sense for them, for the Cavs. Like, I don't know any other team that's really inquiring about Giannis that has a better package than the Cavs right now. I mean, I don't. You could say there's some other teams that may get in the fold after the season, like what I've heard the Thunder, and all this stuff, but I don't see that happening. I don't know how the Thunder could even afford that anyways because they got to pay more guys down the road, and that just doesn't seem feasible. So he's not going to the Lakers. So I don't. Mobley makes a lot of sense for them. You match the salaries pretty much match on the deals, so it's a player swap basically. Maybe the Cavs throw in a couple picks, and you got Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that's probably where you find that number one is Giannis. And if I'm the Cavs, I got to go all in because you just told us it's not the coach. I think what they're telling you is we don't believe we have a number one in house because after they've reported today they're bringing back Kenny Atkinson, you're seeing Brian Windhorst and Shams Charania say significant changes are coming. And what significant changes mean, it's not just, hey, we're getting a better player than Dean Wade. What significant changes mean is we're shaking this shit up. Like, there's going to be a new leader in the pack next year. And Donovan's not going to be the face of the I don't believe to me it seems to me that like, yeah, Donovan's not going to be the leader in the pack anymore. Like, we're getting somebody else. We like Donovan. We think he'll be a damn good number 2, but we got to get somebody here that can actually get it done, who's actually done it before. And that's where Giannis makes a lot of sense. And it's very feasible. Very feasible. The Bucks would make the deal, according to reports. And so, which I'm surprised by because Jimmy Haslam obviously involved with the Bucks. I know he's been a little more involved with the Bucks recently, so maybe that's Jimmy's way of trying to get the more good graces of the Cleveland fam. I don't know, but but I think that's the best deal for the Bucks, and it makes a lot of sense for them, and it makes sense for the Cavs because that's what the Cavs desperately need right now. After bringing back Atkinson, you have to bring a guy like Giannis. Now, my only thing with Giannis. We all know how great of a player he is. My only concern with Giannis is if the Miles Turner thing was true that was mentioned on a podcast recently. If you didn't see that, Miles Turner said that, Doc Rivers this year as a coach, Milwaukee did a lot of things like Giannis was late to meetings sometimes, that the team plane was late, taking off a lot of time. That kind of Giannis, I don't want that combined with what I just saw from the Cavs and what I saw this postseason and just how the accountability didn't seem like it was there with them. So that's the only thing that would kind of concern me a little bit. However, there's another move that Cavs can make to bring in another guy who has won a championship or two, probably actually rather 4, and is the man in Cleveland, and that's LeBron James. And so, it was reported today, which wasn't really news to me, which I've told you guys, LeBron's not taking a pay cut. That's not news. So everybody's reacted to that, like, oh, he's not coming to Cleveland because he won't take the well, no shit. I mean, that's not breaking news, guys. But Brett Siegel of the NBA reporter, he said, if the Cavs and the Lakers were to complete a LeBron James sign and trade, Jared Allen would undoubtedly be involved in that trade. So again, like we said, Harden's not going anywhere. Mitchell's not going anywhere. Your 2 pieces you have to really significantly change this roster are Mobley and Allen. And we just talked about Mobley. Mobley you can trade for Giannis straight up, and the Bucks reportedly would do that deal. The Cavs actually told them no back in the February around the trade deadline. So if you revisit that trade and the Bucks are still interested, then you got Giannis. Now what do you do with Allen? Well, if I'm the Cavs, now trading Jared Allen, you want to keep your rim protection, obviously. Shout out to Cash Money Coat 1369. He said, "Yo, what's up, man? Good to see you." And welcome on everybody. I'm sorry I haven't been able to keep up with some of the comments, guys. I'm trying to get through this. but I'll revisit those in a minute. But yeah, welcome in everybody. Good to see you, Humble. And so again, what do you do with Jared Allen? Because you want a center, so you need rim protection, right? And Jared Allen, I think, is a pretty good starting center in the NBA. Now, he's not the guy you got to depend on every night, and definitely not in the playoffs every night, but he does a good job at what he, the game 7 Jared Allen's, he showed up and balled out, right? Jared Allen brings a lot of value to a team. He protects the rim. He runs the floor very well. He's active around the rim. He's very good in the pick and roll. Like Jared Allen's a very good starting center in the modern NBA. Very good. And so getting rid of Jared Allen, you're going to have to replace him, right? Let's say you have right now, let's say if you have a team right now, let's say we make that Mobley trade. You got Harden, Mitchell, and you got Giannis. Well, you still need rim protection on that back line because I think you want a nice front line of Jared Allen and Giannis at power forward, right? That's a very good formidable front four. Or excuse me, front. Not front four. I'm thinking of football. Front. Defensive front. And so if you want LeBron, it seems like you're going to have to sign and trade Jared Allen to get him. So the only way I'm doing this deal for LeBron is I feel like I need LeBron back to help us get over the hump. And it's obviously LeBron and Dan Gilbert more so wants that deal done because he wants that storybook ending in Cleveland. And it's LeBron James, one of the greatest players of all time, top 3, maybe the GOAT in some people's eyes. But to me, if you're going to make that deal, you better have a center still. Like, you got to have. So, again, there's a lot that has on play. I think the first thing you'd have to do to even consider LeBron is get Giannis back. I don't think bringing in LeBron alone and trading Jared Allen and then having LeBron, Mobley, Mitchell, Harden, I don't think that's enough. I think you got to bring Giannis with LeBron, and I think that's how you build a championship team. And so, unless you just want LeBron back just to have him back, which if they want to do that, fine. But, again, you're talking about significant roster changes. So, Brian Windhorst, again, he spoke a lot today. Obviously, he's a busy man today. He's plugged in with both the Lakers, the Cavs, LeBron, the whole thing. He spoke today about this because he talked about earlier. He mentioned on where's that at right here? Well, first he was on Get Up this morning talking about LeBron. And here's what he said about LeBron and the Lakers and the Cavs possibility.
Long way off, with a lot of decisions being made between now and then. Give me a little timetable idea here.
I'm going to treat that as a throwaway line from LeBron. He's on vacation right now. When he comes back, he'll get serious. He's going to have to decide whether he wants to be a Laker, and the Lakers are going to have to decide how much they're going to offer him in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He has a $58 million cap hold. The Lakers have to deal with that. If he remains a Laker, this is all going to be moot. And I do think that they're, despite, what they might posture that would be basically negotiating, I do think there's a pathway for him to stay in LA. But if it is not, and if the Lakers want to use that cap space elsewhere, then there will be things open for LeBron. But I still have never heard LeBron say he's willing to take a very small contract. If he does say that, we'll be glad to report on that. But I have yet to hear that. And that's kind of where the dreams in Cleveland kind of die right now.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, so what he mentioned there is obviously the LA possibility still, which technically it is still there. Like, would it shock me if LeBron still went back to LA? No. Do I think it's likely? No. Like, I don't think they want him back. I think that's all to what it comes down to. I don't think the Lakers want to bring him back because here's the thing. I think LeBron wants to get paid by the Lakers because you heard LeBron complain all season. And you heard Rich Paul bring up that he was he right after the season when they lost, he talked about I had to just be the number 3 all year. And you heard Rich Paul come out and say they need to put Austin Reeves on the bench and make LeBron the number 2 and all this. That wasn't by accident. LeBron was not very happy about that throughout the year. He was first time he adjusted to it, right? He adapted to it, but that along with the relationship with the Lakers has never been. You heard that reported throughout the years, throughout the years. But since the Westbrook trade and just this year, last year, it's been very up and down, very rocky. And I think that's why it's coming to the end of the road. And that's why I think too. I'm not sure the Lakers are the new ownership. If you know that ownership history, he owned the owning the Redskins and then owning the Dodgers. Usually, when he has star players at the end of the road like that, at the end of the road like LeBron is, he usually lets them play out their contract and doesn't bring them back. That's how Mark Walters rolls. So again, I don't think they're going to bring him back. They say all the right things. Rob Pelinka plays the game very well, but I don't think seriously they're going to consider. I just don't see him going back there right now. I don't think they want to bring him back, and so that leaves LeBron with two choices: the Warriors or the Cavs. And I say the Warriors because that's been rumored. I think that is very real because he could stay out in California and live on the West Coast if that's what he chooses to do. And that's where his family wants to stay. I could see, that reason because I could see LeBron not wanting to come home because LeBron may feel he's outgrown Ohio. Coming back to, Cleveland, you got a lot of family that wants to be around you, ask for tickets all the time. Like it could be a hassle and kind of a headache. That I could see that part. Maybe he's just over it. And he just says, I'll just go play with Steph for a year and screw it, I'll just go. And I could stay in, California. I don't think him going to the Warriors changes anything. I don't think it would be a good ending for his career. I think it's just like the retirement home. He's a halfway retired basketball player at that point. Or what did my guy Humble say? A part-time basketball player at that point. So if that's what he wants to do, that's what he's going to do. But I don't think that's what he should do. And if he really wants to maximize the end of his career and truly wants to win another championship, I think he's got to come back east. And I think the Cavs also, it's the only city and team that makes sense is Cleveland. And so it's a storybook ending, right? I mean, he's got one of his best friends as the assistant GM of the team. He's got a home here. He's got a lot of people. Obviously, we all know his ties here. He's from here. Still comes here, visits the off season, and stays here for a little bit. And so again, it makes a lot of sense. But again, the only way that happens is the Cavs would have to make some decisions. So let's say again, and the latest report is from Brian Windhorst and Shams Charania, expect significant changes to that roster. We know Donovan's not going anywhere. We know James Harden's not going anywhere. And so, and you brought back Kenny Atkinson, which tells me they believe they still need a number one. And maybe two number one. And at least guys who have actually been there and done that. Real leadership from the team. On the team, excuse me. So that can maybe help out Kenny Atkinson a little bit. Get to those other two guys. And so Brian Windhorst again today on ESPN Cleveland talked about the pathway to get Giannis or LeBron or possibly both. Here's what he had to say.
You've already traded a guy in his mid-20s in Darius Garland away for a guy in his 30s in James Harden. That's a half measure. Go ahead and make the full measure and consider trading more of your young players, entering the sweepstakes for Giannis Antetokounmpo or other players. I know Giannis will be the first player, but if you're willing to touch your guys in your 20s who are your core players, if you're willing to touch the idea of Jared Allen, you're willing to touch the idea of Evan Mobley, there will be other options, and you explore that pathway. And, that pathway could lead you to LeBron James because, once you get out of the second apron, you open up the ability to make a sign and trade deal where you could trade something for LeBron. Obviously, it would be way easier if you wanted LeBron to ask him to sign in free agency where you wouldn't have to give any salaries up. You wouldn't have to give any players up.
And so on the LeBron side of things, to finish it there, we already talked about the Giannis side of it. Obviously, that's a simple decision they got to make. It's Evan Mobley or nothing. And so for Giannis, and what do I think the odds are of we get Giannis cash money? Before last night, I would have said 40%. After last night and seeing Dan Gilbert's tweet and the reporting today, I'm going to say I said 40%, right? Before last night. I'm going to say it's up to the Cavs in a lot of ways. 75%. I think they might get him because it makes the most sense for everybody involved. And the Bucks already agreed to do the deal once. And the Cavs said no. The Cavs, all they got to do is call back and listen, I don't think you've had any other significant offers since that were better than the one you liked. Let's just get it done. And we have to do it now. So I'll say 75%. I think it might get done. I think it's trending towards that happening. I mean, Miami's going to be a serious contender in it, a very serious contender. But ultimately, I don't think Miami has that piece that we have, like Mobley, who's still better than Tyler Hero, with a better piece than Tyler Hero. So I think that ultimately be the X factor is what can Miami give better than the Cavs, and I think that's what's going to determine it. So yeah. Also, how much do you think the previous beef between Harden and Giannis will play into it? I I actually forgot all about that. What was that again? I can't remember a lot of that. But if guys really want to win a championship, you got to say, I mean, we've seen that before where guys like, I mean, Dennis Rodman, for God's sake, was part of the Detroit Pistons bad boys, who annihilated Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. He was part of the abuse that they put on them. And later on in his career, he still went and signed with them, won 3 championships. So, I mean, the past is the past. If you really want to win a championship, you got to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. And again, I think they would. I don't think James definitely shouldn't be saying anything. This is his last shot to try to get one. So I just look at that. If those guys could play with Dennis Rodman after that, which was a real rivalry, then I would never count on anything. I mean, Lance Stevenson played with LeBron James at one point. Who would have thought that before he went to LA, that LeBron's first year? I remember Lance Stevenson, and they were hated. They competed against each other in the playoffs the year before. So I don't put too much stock into that. I mean, unless it was like some serious stuff, like some street type beef, I don't see. I don't think that's. I wouldn't give that too much credence, but. I think at the end of the day, these guys all just want to win. If they truly commit to doing that, they all are saying we just want to win. And this is the best, or we all feel like this is the best way to do it. Please like, subscribe, and share, folks. Shout out to the professional fan. But again, going back to LeBron, here's what I think with LeBron. I'll put a bow on this longer opening statement. A lot to unpack, obviously. The end of season, the recap and analysis. But if LeBron, here's what I think LeBron's doing right now. I think LeBron right now is doing some classic negotiation with his agent, Rich Paul, through the media, putting out that, we're not taking a pay cut, right? LeBron came out and talked about how family's a big factor, relocation and all that, and blah, blah, blah. I think LeBron really would like to stay in LA, but I don't think LA is willing to give LeBron what he wants, if anything. And LeBron's not going to take that because LeBron feels like LA, which he said after the season, does feel like through reporting, through David McMenamin, that they've taken him for granted at times, is what he feels like. Like LeBron's made it known how he feels about them, and they made it known how they feel about LeBron. And so I think that's why they're at a crossroads. And I think LeBron's just trying one last shot to see if he can make it happen. But I don't think Luka and the Lakers really want to get I don't think the vibe I'm getting, a lot of people are getting that, and just looking through the tea leaves, that I don't think they're very interested in bringing him back. Definitely not for that kind of money he would want from them either. Because he made it very clear from the jump too. And Dave McMenamin reported that he's not taking a pay cut for the Lakers. That the Lakers, and it said in the report, remember, the Lakers are going to have to sell him on coming back. So again, I think that's why LeBron right now is trying one last shot to make it happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. And so once he gets after that point, there's only 2 teams he's really considering. That's the Cavs and the Warriors. Warriors because it's on in California, like I said, he wants to stay out on the West Coast, and then the Cavs for all the reasons we all know why. And so, but with those 2 teams, though, it's a little differently financial. It's a little different financially with them, because the Cavs can't just sign him. They can't pay him the kind of money he would realistically want because they got to clear up space for it. And the only way they can really do it, like he said, is with a sign and trade. That's the only way they can do it, make it happen. Now, if we get to that point, though, and the Lakers are definitely off LeBron's list, and they're not bringing him back at all, and he's not going back unless it's for the kind of money he feels like they owe him, LeBron may say, you know what, this is my last shot to win. I don't want to subtract from that team. Maybe I will take a minimum deal, take a pay cut. And maybe the Cavs can give a little something under the table to help reimburse that. It was reported last year, and I haven't seen them fill that. Maybe they filled the spot since, but I haven't heard anything about it, that Dan Gilbert put up 15% of the Cavs ownership stake up for sale. And Myles Garrett, a clutch client, is already a part owner of the Cavs. You don't think LeBron will be interested in that possibly when he retires? He got ownership stake. Just saying. I mean, I don't know. That's a possibility to look at it. But again, whether it's a sign and trade with Allen, or maybe he does by that point says, I'll take the pay cut because I don't want to subtract from the team. It's very real, and it could happen. The Warriors thing is a very real possibility as well. I don't think it gives him the best shot to win, because they got Jimmy Butler opted in for $50+ million. Have fun with that. But if that's what he chooses to do, it's what he chooses to do. But there's a lot to unpack, or there was a lot to unpack today, and there's a lot of things that could happen this offseason. But one thing is for certain, though, like they pointed out, there is going to be significant changes. And the only way you make those significant changes happen, because Harden's not going anywhere, Mitchell's not going anywhere, it's Mobley and Allen. You have to move those two pieces, and you have to use each of them into separate deals to bring in two new different pieces, I think. And I think that's where you've heard a lot about the Harden, Mitchell, LeBron, Giannis core. I think that could be where it's heading. And I think Giannis right now may seem more like a possibility than LeBron. And that may sound great to some people because I just think LeBron's so unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what he really wants this stage in his career. If this was 10 years ago, I'd say book it. LeBron's definitely coming back. But I don't know, at this point in his career, I think he's just in a different mindset. And he probably has an idea where he's going to go, or at least he's narrowed it down to two places. But there's just a lot that has to happen. And so we'll see what happens. But again, I think the shakeup is definitely coming. They've just announced that it's coming. And so with Brian Windhorst saying and Shams Charania saying that, Kenny's back, but they're making significant change. And I think those significant changes is we need a true number one in here. We don't have that. I think they've realized we don't have that leader of the pack in here. That guy that can truly get this franchise over the hump and back into championship glory. So that's what I see. Sorry, I'm analytically late. Late analytically. Yeah, remember, Bruce, Game 5 is tomorrow night, analytically. LeBron not coming to this soft team. Moby will never be as great as Cavs fans think. Just a soft player, cannot post and keep shooting jumpers. I think Moby needs a fresh start somewhere else with a better coach, with a better development plan around him. Then I think he'd become a really good perennial all-star. Is he ever going to be Giannis? No. He's never going to be that good. But he has a lot of talent that I think has been untapped, has been utilized properly. But I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. Harden narcissism not going to help the Cavs. He still thinks he is Houston Harden. He only uses the DMV because he is a cone. Sorry, I am rude. Hello, Joe. It's good to see you, Bruce. Shout out to Bruce. I mean, Harden. Yeah, I think Harden needs to have a real good look in the mirror this offseason. And again, when you have leadership and accountability, guys either have to buy in or they have to buy out. Like, there is no faking the funk around it. So I think that's what the Cavs need to do, is focus on getting a true number one leader in that locker room that can lead this franchise over the hump. And then I think you'll start to see maybe some improvement there, or he'll just find his next ticket out to the next. He'll get a ticket on his way out and to go to the next town. So James is who he is at this point in his career, but and I think a lot of it too was, Donovan to me and James, they just don't really show that true, like, Donovan sitting there yelling at his teammates last night and stuff. And I think Donovan wants to win. He just doesn't know how to do it. And I think just like I said earlier, I don't think he has that real, like, intangibles to be a real number one and a guy to really lead a franchise to a championship. I just don't see that with him. I think he's gonna be a hell of a number two. But yeah. So that's what I got for now. But to finish out the show and to let you guys speak, I'll put the link in the chat here. If you want to join, give me 1 second. I got my man Wally and Humble already on deck. So there's the link for you guys you want to join. And please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate that on the way in here. But joining me now, actually, you know what? Did I miss shout out my grandma? She's in the house. She said, yeah, you're right. I got the Cash App donation. I appreciate you, Grandma. Thank you very much. Shout out to my grandmother. What else did I? Do you think the Cavs are trying to get Jason Kidd only as an assistant coach? That's something I would definitely keep an eye out for, because I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and they made a point that I get, that why would Jason Kidd want to come here and be an assistant when he could just he can go work TV and get money that way. But I think Jason Kidd, if he really wants to be a head coach again, I think he's going to be very selective, because he's already been through 3 to 4 different places. So I think where he's at in his career, he's got to be a little more selective of where he goes, who he's aligned with, right? And I think if he's aligned with a Giannis and a Harden, or I bet you LeBron, who he's buddies with, he may take that job as an assistant because he may say, if stuff goes south and LeBron really wants me as the coach, just like when Ty Lue, you got to remember in 2014, Ty Lue, he never had any head coaching experience, but he was still not a head coach. Jason Kidd right now, not a head coach. How do you get back to becoming one? How do you become one? It's the same thing. How do you get to that spot? And I think with Ty Lue, remember back in 2014 when they hired David Blatt, they interviewed Ty Lue for the job too, and they chose Blatt over him. Ty Lue still took the job as a top assistant, and I think a lot of it's because Ty Lue knew eventually what was going to come. And that's exactly what happened a year and a half later. Once stuff hit the fan and LeBron got tired of it and it was too much, the guy he always wanted, remember the last game Ty Lue coached in Cleveland, LeBron sitting on the bench talking to David Blatt coached in Cleveland. LeBron sitting next to Ty Lue on the bench, bitching to him about it because that was always his guy all along. That's who he wanted. And so a lot of times the top guy who's next in line, they know they're in that spot because they know they might get that job eventually. And so I think Jason Kidd would definitely consider, especially if Giannis and LeBron are here, I think he would definitely consider, and maybe even not, I think just in general, because he sees what we all see, that, Kenny kept his job, but Kenny's still on the hot seat. Like, don't get it twisted. Just because they gave him another year next year, he still has to go out next year and get it done. So, I just don't believe I think they believe they need to give Kenny a true number one and give him at least that shot to see what it looks like. But they're going to have an insurance policy in place. And maybe Jason Kidd's that guy who is next in line on the bench, who, in case shit goes south by trade deadline, well, guess what we'll do? We did in 2016. We'll just insert Jason Kidd, and we got a head coach. So I think it's definitely something that's in play. I definitely would not rule that out. You know which team that got swept a couple years back, but they still look competitive in the series versus the Patriots versus Boston, 2 out of those 4 games, winning double overtime, I believe. The Cavs looked like they just gave up on life, especially yesterday. That was brutal. Yeah, that was brutal yesterday. Very brutal. But joining me now is Akron's finest, Jared Allen, not loving, not liking Jared Allen. I'm sure he'll have something to say. Always controversial to people, especially in our group chat. He's a man of controversy. He likes to stir up the pot and comes in with the hot takes. Wally's in the building. Wally, what's happening? I think Wally's there. Wally, if you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Also joining us is Illyria's finest, Dean Wade fan club leader, Presidente, and I'm sure MMA loving, and I'm sure pissed off today. Humble's in the building. Humble. What's happening?
Hey, grateful to be here, everybody.
Wally, I'll let you go first, and Humble, you go right after. I guess we'll start here with this. What's your initial reaction to Kenny Atkinson being retained as the head coach? Do you like it? Love it? What do you think the reasoning is here?
Honestly, man, I'm honestly not surprised of what they're going to do. But with Kenny returning next season, pretty much this is like a sign of like what I predicted yesterday. But Dan Gilbert, what he's thinking is like, we're not going to let him go, basically, because he gave us like a 4th seed and then the 2nd seed, and then he was the coach of the year. If he do have a lot of flaws he had to fix next season. But I know pretty much I can't even I can't even say anything because like this is what the Cavs wanted. You know, they want to like they want Kenny back, but
Humble, your thoughts?
I actually was very surprised with the news of them saying that they wanted to bring him back. I thought that's not the way that you want to end a series. Yeah, I feel as if the Cavs feel as if we made this was our championship, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals in some respects. It was kind of disrespectful because I know, like you said, the analytically thing. I mean, that's going to live with us for all summer. I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, I showed my dad that, and he didn't even know what to say. He said, "This guy's the head coach." I said, "Yeah, I know." Yeah, I don't understand why we're bringing him back, guys. I kind of got to ask the big man, Colby Altman, what he's thinking. Yeah, I'm in shock. Joe. To say my answer.
Let me ask you guys this.
yeah, Humble's pissed off. Like,
I told
damn.
you he was coming in hot today. And I don't blame him either. I mean, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share on the way in here, and the links in the chat. If you want to come up and voice your thoughts on the Cavs. But that last night was not just a loss, getting swept. I mean, the way they lost at home was just completely. I mean, they completely quit and folded.
Yep.
And that was a complete embarrassment. What happened in Cleveland last night? That should never happen again, ever.
And I gotta ask, Joe. I mean, you don't get any better with Harden. You got a guy who's not increasing; he's decreasing
Right.
as far
Right.
as value. So I gotta ask. I mean, was the Darius Garland trade worth it? I mean, you traded
No.
all these guys.
Nope. It wasn't worth it. It was not worth it. Hey man, it's like the Cavs is like as soon as they made that trade, it's like shot them in the foot.
And I gotta say, Darius Garland, Joe, was a guy who played with joy when he was healthy. A guy with speed who was on the court when healthy and provided health. He was very quick out there for us, getting passes, and when healthy, he'd get you 18, 20. I just gotta ask, was this move worth it ultimately to get swept?
Well, I got you to the conference finals, which I don't think Darius would have did. I think some of the games Harden had, some of the good games he had, Darius just never really had that in the postseason consistently. James, obviously, you're banking on the name. It's who he is, what he has done previously. I just think with Harden and Darius, I think they kind of view their value the same. Because you said it, when healthy with Darius, and even when he's out there,
Right.
he's so undersized that teams
You
are
need
picking
his
on him a lot.
speed. You need his speed.
His speed, his shooting, his playmaking was great. Defensively wasn't great, but I just don't think they felt Darius was a guy they wanted to commit to in the long term. I think they viewed him as the same kind of they view Harden. Like Harden, they're giving him 2 more years possibly, but that's not like a long term deal. You know what I mean? Like we're just maxing out this guy and we're in a win now mode.
No, yeah.
I think again, you gotta remember Donovan liked that idea. He wanted that trade to happen and they made it happen.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of it too. I think Donovan got what he wanted again. And do I think James is as bad as he looked this postseason? No. I think he's still better than that. I just think there was zero accountability anywhere in that building. And I think James just when he's not put in the right structure or situation, this is what you get. And
But
so
I also got to ask, I didn't mean to cut you off. I got to ask, would you say that before James Harden got here, we were still running into that defensive problem with people being able to just score on us with these random guys? Was that a problem before James Harden got here, you would say?
oh yeah, and I broke down the film on that.
Right. My question is, how will we have these guys as far as these defensive 7-footers and Evan Mobley, a defensive player of the year, and Jared Allen, And I kept saying, and I guess I was wrong, that this team was probably Harden's best lineup as far as defense. And boy, was I wrong.
I
Here's
mean,
what I think, though.
yeah.
Here's what I think with James Harden. Do I think you would have won with Darius as your number 2? No. I don't think Darius is going to quit. And we said I don't think Darius is going to help lead a team in the postseason or be a contributor even because A, is he available, and 2, it wasn't great last year against Indiana. Let's be honest, when he was out there,
Right.
inconsistent a lot of times. Had some great moments, but had a lot of inconsistent moments, and not really available ever. Here's what I
Right.
think.
More. Yeah.
Here's what I think they're thinking with James. I think they felt this year. You said it. They feel like they won a championship getting to the conference finals. They're cool with that.
Right.
Dan Gilbert did say that, going back to what he said last night. We took a massive, he said we took, where is it? He said we took a step ahead this spring. And that's what he's saying right there. We finally took that next step. I think when you're hearing the reports now today saying that there are major roster moves coming, significant roster moves coming, they understand James Harden can't be your number 2 scorer on a championship team. And so I think that's why I keep saying they're going to go out. They feel like if James is your 3rd or 4th option, that's still pretty good. Like if James is your 4th option and just your point guard running the show, limits the turnovers. You bring another ball handler though, like LeBron or Giannis, that he's not going to have the ball in his hand as much, where he can just play out the ball more and go ISO and score, spot up a little bit, or just get guys involved. I think they feel like James could be a good 3 or 4. But we got to get those other 1 or 2 guys in here. I mean, they got to be true number 1s.
Now I had a question just because I had read a comment this weekend and I needed your take on the show. Someone wrote under a comment, trade Harden and a pick for Fred VanVleet and Dorius Finney-Smith. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think very likely, if at all. I don't think Harden's going anywhere. I'll leave it.
Yeah, there's nowhere else but Cleveland for him. Basically.
And I don't know why Houston would make that trade.
No, yeah, they don't want him back. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know why they would make that trade. They can get better than that for VanVleet, but I think, he's not going anywhere, and neither is Donovan. So the only 2 pieces
I'm glad you
have,
just said that. Yeah, Joe. That once you said the Harden thing back to Houston. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere. But
no, I got you. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. I'll go back to you, Wally, and then Humble, you go right after. So we talked about Kenny Atkinson. I saw this quote last night from Donovan Mitchell talking about the criticism of Coach Atkinson. He said, quote, "It's just hilarious. We've done something that we haven't done since 2018. There's going to be criticism everywhere on Kenny, but why? We did it, but we did it with Kenny. We didn't just go out there and coach ourselves. I love Kenny. We love Kenny. We ride with Kenny. And ultimately, that's all that matters." End quote. And then it was also reported when they retained him that both Donovan Mitchell, you stare at the bottom, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden voiced their support for their coach. And I think, fellas, that these two, like I said today, like having Kenny as their head coach because these 2 guys, in my opinion, don't feel like guys to me that like to be coached very hard. And I think the franchise is aware of that. And I think that's why they didn't put it all on Kenny. I think they realized just it is what it is. We have 2 guys here that like to have their ways a lot of times. And if they don't, they get a little, they want out or they want to complain and be a little passive. And so I think the Cavs, let me ask you, what's your thoughts about Donovan's statement right there? Because I'll be honest with you, the whole thing, we haven't done anything since 2018. That really bothered me because, dude, you weren't here in that era. So don't try to hang your hat on that and try to and say, well, I know we got our ass. Well, I'm sorry, Cleveland. Which, okay, cool. But don't try to make that like, hey, man, you guys should be grateful you got here since 2018. Like, what?
Yeah.
There was nothing to be grateful for. You didn't get us not one win, not even at home. You can't give us anything to even be happy for next season.
Right. And I'm not going to defend all of that. I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to come here on this platform and defend Donovan Mitchell what he said. But what I will go do is I want big changes of this roster Cause I was screaming, man. I was screaming like they need to change because I really hate what they was doing with the leadership and stuff.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you guys. So, do you guys agree with me? While you answer, humble, you go right after him. That do you believe the Cats feel? Because I think the only reason why they justify bringing Kenny back, about all the shit that just happened and how bad it was and ugly it was last week, I think the only way they justify bringing him back was because you remember before this end of the season, Kenny was saying stuff to the media that his top guys need to play better defensively. I'm paraphrasing. Remember we talked about that.
Yeah.
He was kind of calling them out, and I said that's a problem. And I think Kenny feels like we got talent here. We need to make other moves. Obviously, the rest of the roster, but Mitchell. I think the organization has realized that Mitchell's not that number one guy, and that he could be a great number two. We just need to have somebody in here as a number one that can help the coach, who's actually been there and done that as a number one, a la Giannis or LeBron or both. That they feel that's why they gave Kenny a second shot. They want to get him in here with another guy who could be the true number one. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think?
Like what number one? Like bring like a number one or
Bring in a number one like Giannis.
I'll tell you what, Joe. Back in like to go back to that Donovan Mitchell 2018 thing, man. I remember watching them come back 3-1, right? Kyrie and LeBron, right? There's like I said on your last show, I asked you to play that Shaq and Donovan Mitchell post game, saying that I don't think he has that it factor, and Donovan Mitchell just kind of brushing it off. My thing is this, Joe. I remember watching Kyrie Irving. I remember literally yelling at my TV, "Give the ball to Kyrie Irving." Why? Because Kyrie Irving was like that. He could break anybody. He could leave you on a hezzy, and you're looking back, and he already got the ball in the basket. He was that guy. Donovan Mitchell, like you said, I think, like you said, Donovan Mitchell, he's having second questions of if he's that guy because, well, as we all know, the New York Knicks wanted Donovan Mitchell. So I think who is he facing to go to the finals against his hometown team? And I think he's thinking second chances. Oh man, I could have signed with this team. Oh, I got traded. Boom, I could have been on back home. Look at this team. They're going to the finals. Me. Well, you're not worried about your team, man.
Well, and Donovan is not he's more talented than Jalen Brunson, but Jalen Brunson's a better leader of the pack right now. That's not even a question of that. And he's leading the team to a championship run. And maybe the Cavs have finally realized, here's that clip, Hubble. Maybe the Cavs have realized what Shaq was saying years ago.
This is Shaq. I said tonight that you are one of my favorite players, but you don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose. I want you to hear it. What do you have to say about that?
All right. That's it.
That's it?
All right. That's it.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
I want you to hear it.
I've been hearing Shaq. I've been hearing that since my rookie year. I'm just going to get better and do what I do.
Good.
At the end of the day.
Well, that's what I want you to hear you say.
Yes,
Love
sir.
your game, brother. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Still lives with me.
yeah. Shaq know what he was saying. Yeah.
The Cavs
Shaq knows ball, man.
And the Cavs knew exactly. I think the Cavs have found out exactly what Shaq was trying to say back then.
Yeah.
This guy's a glorified number two.
I'm sorry, Joe. I just got to say one last thing because I feel as if like how you got that small guard in Kyrie Irving, and you match him up with a big guy in LeBron James. Well, why not do the same? You guys keep comparing Donovan Mitchell to Kyrie Irving, and I don't think it's comparable, but bring him up with a big guy as far as Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's a former MVP, who's actually still in his prime, not like a washed out James Harden. Bring a guy who's still capable of giving you 40. I really do think Giannis could give you 40 in the playoffs.
But again, the injuries.
Well, along with the injuries, I think that's where you got to having the talent like that, the load should be equally. It's a lot of it's a load management.
Yeah, I would
and load management isn't sitting out game. Load management is just
right.
How do we balance out the night to night thing? I think Giannis, he's
But he
never
also
played.
didn't want to be in that system, right, Joe? He didn't want to be a Milwaukee Buck. There was a lot of rumors of him saying, "Oh, he wants to get traded. Oh, he doesn't. We're going to trade him. We're not." It was
Well,
just
yeah,
a
he
lot
shut
of
it
confusion.
down. He shut
Right.
it down for the year. Yeah, he shut it down for the rest of the year. But I think too, he's never played with. I mean, Chris Middleton had that nice year, but he's never played with somebody like Donovan.
100%.
So
100%.
And if LeBron comes, he's never played with anybody like that ever. So
100%.
I think. What do you guys think that? I mean, let's start there with the Evan Mobley thing, because again, we know Kenny's back. We talked about that and the why, and I have a theory why I think he's back, and I kind of get where the Cavs are coming from on it a little bit. I'm not gonna put it all on Kenny. At the end of the day, these are professional athletes. You got to go out and do your jobs, what you're paid to do. But I think the Cavs have realized what Shaq said, that they don't have that number one guy, true number one guy. They got pieces now, but they need that extra. They need that ultimate piece. And so, how do you get that done? Well, Harden's not going anywhere. Mitchell's not going anywhere. You got Mobley. Mobley's the piece that you trade for Giannis, and that trade was almost done in February. The Bucks would have made the deal, but the Cavs said no. If you're the Cavs, are you calling them right now? Because I heard Giannis is going to be traded no later than draft night. That's coming up here
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon. So you're going to see stuff start to get rolling probably next week.
So
what do you do? Do we Mobley out for Giannis right now?
I will say that move not going to be happening. The reason why, because if the Cavs said no, right, they cannot come back and say, "Oh, we want Giannis. We want Giannis. We will trade for Giannis and stuff." I think because I did see this before, right? Pretty much, like, it's not going to happen. Soon as the draft night start, I think he's going to be landing in the different team. It's not going to be the Cavs.
Why not?
It's probably too late. Probably Giannis is looking at the Heat or probably Boston but I will say I'm not going to be surprised if Giannis not on the Cavs.
Is it more likely he gets traded to the East or the West, Joe? Giannis.
East.
Okay.
Because I think the only true contending teams are in the East for him. I don't see.
Yeah, and plus he wanted to stay in the East also. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the Knicks, they're not trading for him. I think they're going to stick with what they got, no matter what.
No, 100%, and they're smart to stay with what they got.
And I don't, and they would have to give up some of their like big, their team is built the way it's built. I don't think they would have to give up some significant pieces to get him. I don't know if they would be the same team.
Yeah.
Where the Cavs are in a situation where they have to make a move. They got to get a guy. They have to have that number one guy. They got the other pieces that can surround him.
And I really wish we had Miguel Bridges though on this team.
It's not even that. I feel as if Karl Anthony. I'm really happy for Karl Anthony Towns because that's a guy who got drafted number one basically, and was in an organization, and they picked the other guy and Anthony Edwards, and look at where he's ultimately at. And I'm happy for Karl Anthony Towns, if anybody, on that Knicks team.
But I think with Giannis, I think the only other team, Boston's interesting because they could trade Jaylen Brown, but I don't know how Tatum and Giannis would pair together. I think that's kind of a weird mix because Jason Tatum is not LeBron. It's not LeBron and AD, so I don't know how that would pair. But I think Brown could get traded. I just don't know. I don't think it'd be to Milwaukee. I think there's another trade they may get for him. But
and plus,
Miami's the only other team, and I said Miami, but. Is Miami's package good as the Cavs? No, it's not. Tyler Hero, a couple players, and a bunch of picks is not better than Mobley and picks and whatever other player we could throw in because Mobley, there's still the upside there. He's way better than Tyler Hero. It's not even debatable. And the picks are going to be the same regard, because if the Miami gets Giannis, you're thinking they're going to be a better team. Their picks aren't going to be that high. Same thing with the Cavs. So it's like you want to get the better player. And Mobley's the better player than Tyler Hero and a bunch of expiring contracts or guys that you're probably not going to re-sign. So,
I mean, they do got Miles Turner on Milwaukee though. Like I think
and that's a guy. If I'm the Cavs, no, I don't know if I can bring him in actually. No, I think Miles Turner's a free, because Miles Turner just went on a podcast and pretty much threw Doc Rivers and Giannis under the bus. So I don't know. If that would work, because I would say let's try to get him here too as a center, because if we do the LeBron deal, we need a center, but I don't know how that's going to work. But anyways, but
I would do the move. I like Wally said, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Cavs value Evan Mobley a little too much. I would do the move personally. Like I said, I've been on here and I've said that I think you need guys who can score 40. Whether it's as like we say all the time, Joe, hero ball, you can score 40, or you actually can just do it like it comes naturally, like a shot, a Shea or a KD. But I think you need a guy who can score 40, and I think Giannis is that guy. He's a former MVP. Bring him in beside Donovan Mitchell, and maybe call up LeBron James if he's interested in that deal. I know, like you said, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden were trying to flirt with the idea of bringing back Bron, but yeah, I like Wally said, I just don't think it happens. I think Cavs value Evan Mobley a little too much.
I would agree with that before yesterday. I don't agree with that today. I think.
I hope you're right, Joe.
When they're saying we're making significant changes, that means you're trading Allen and Mobley.
Yeah.
You have to. So Allen's not trading Allen for LeBron. I don't know if that makes you a better team.
Because then it's just LeBron back in LA, no center.
Exactly. And then he's older, but you still have the same guys. I mean, I think it makes him better in terms of leader, in terms of like experience. But I just don't think that's the move. I
don't think we're banking on Thomas Bryant being a starter.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's all. I think that would make them worse in the long run. So I think he said the only team I heard out in the West that might be interested as Giannis was the Timberwolves. Yeah, I don't think he's going out west though. I don't. I think he's going to be in the East. There's a reason. Why did that report get put out during the playoffs about Evan Mobley? That was a possibility, and the Cavs turned it down. It's because one of the sides or an agent wanted that out there, and I think the Cavs will definitely revisit that if they're not already on the phone right now. Saying, well, you guys still do.
The one thing is, Joseph, I think we just got to realize, like, I think they just waiting for like the draft. I personally think they are waiting for the draft, what they're going to pull out of the draft, and then make moves.
I'll be honest with you, Joe. I think, Evan Mobley's nice. He's an American. We love our Americans, but I think you got to get some guy with some grit. Get a guy who's overseas. I know Walleck's overseas. Bring over Giannis, right? Bring a guy who's willing to. He's already got a championship, like you said, Joe. We need someone, a go-getter, a guy who's not scared to posterize anyone down low. And I don't think Evan Mobley. I think he's peaked a little bit. I think we can all agree on that, maybe.
Well, I think Evan needs a fresh start somewhere else. With a different different game plan for him. But Giannis is a guy, you know who he is. He's a superstar. He's a true number one. He's led a team to a championship. That's who you bring in. That's who you give. And you make Donovan Mitchell the 1B number 2 next to him.
And like you said, the only guy he had beside him really was Chris Middleton.
Yeah, and it takes pressure off of James Harden. I think James, we were demanding we wanted him to be the old James Harden. He's just not that guy anymore. That's why you got the results you got. You got to take more load off of him and still get what you can out of him. And so I think with that, then after that move, then you got to decide, what do you do if you have a team of Harden, Mitchell, Giannis, and Allen? I'll go to you, Wally. Do you actually, if LeBron's sitting there, would you make that deal with Allen to sign and trade to go get LeBron? Or is it only if LeBron will take a pay cut? Which I know today was reported he wouldn't, which that wasn't, I don't think that was really a report. That was the obvious. But
Right.
if I've already stated why I think he's doing that, and I think if he gets to a point where he has no other options but that, and maybe that 15% ownership stake gets put in play, what would you do there?
Oh, I mean both. Like if that happens, like Evan Mobley and Jarrell Allen could go. If that happens, I'm not banking with the train with like LeBron's coming back to Cleveland, but hey, I mean, if it's a business move, it's a business move. Um, but again, like I'm seeing with this NBA teams and stuff, it's like young talent and stuff. So like I think I know, but Cleveland want a super team. Go ahead, and every super team happens, and it's just broke like both ways and stuff. So I mean, go ahead. The Brooklyn Nets did it. Golden State did it. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, this is it. I mean, like this is what people want. So I mean, go ahead.
What do you think, Humble? We
I
get Giannis, we get Mitchell, we get Harden. He's sitting there. Would you do it for
well,
Jared Allen?
all right. Could you break the question down again? My bad.
So if we get Giannis for Mobley, we got Harden, we got Mitchell. You have LeBron still on the market, which I assume he will be by then. Because I don't think the Lakers and him, I don't think they're going to come to an agreement as of right now. Would you do the sign and trade scenario with Jared Allen to get LeBron here, and you have LeBron, Giannis, Allen, and Mobley or Mitchell, excuse me?
You know, I
Or
don't.
would you
I
just, or would you just be pat with Giannis and keep Allen?
I think Braun can go to have his little fantasy LA story. If he doesn't want to sign back home and get another championship, it sounds like he wants to do it the hard way. If you want to go buddy up with Steph and do that, go ahead. You know, you're still close to Bronny. It sounds like you said, he's not gonna get this. He wants a full superstar contract, and I just
He
don't
ain't
think that.
getting it.
I don't think that's realistic. I really don't. I mean, come on, Bron. You're already a billionaire. I mean, what do you need the money for realistically? I just don't think he's thinking clearly. I think he's being greedy. I think he's thinking more like a king rather than a leader right now. And if he would have took that minimum pay cut, um, you know, I think there's more options for us Cavs fans to have hope.
What would you think of a LeBron, Mitchell, Harden, Mobley team? Like we talked about, so that
Right,
like to
Mobley maybe
me,
sliding down to the 5. I
yeah,
know we
like to
talked
me,
about
you would
that.
have to bring like somehow try to get a Rui Hachimura. I don't know if you can even afford that. Like I don't know.
You got to get someone with grit, like a Rui, or back in the day, like a Rudy Gay. Like you need someone aggressive, and like, or even like who was LeBron's guy back here, like a Jeff Green. You need someone, or Isaiah Joe. You need someone with defense, but a guy who could score. But we've been struggling in getting that small forward for years. I feel like, or even power forward, because look at Evan Mobley, how we like you said, developed him.
Wally, what do you think? I honestly, guys, listen. I'd love for LeBron to finish his career here. I think it's definitely in the work and in the possibilities. But if we really want to maximize a championship team next year, I think you said okay. Wally had the Irish goodbye. Humble. I think honestly, I think you just said it. I only want LeBron back if he's willing to sign here. I'm not, and I, and it may get to that point. I think LeBron right now, Humble might be trying to play a little like, let's see what I can get on the market. What does it look like? You know, but if I'm LeBron, then why would I want to subtract from the team? Because now imagine you have a team, Wally, of Harden, Mitchell, LeBron, Giannis, and Allen. That's a formidable starting five. So that's a lot different. That's a whole different ballgame. But if I could just get Giannis for Mobley and I still have Allen and I got Strus and I can retool my bench and get some more pieces here, I like that tandem. I like the Giannis, Mitchell, Allen, Harden, and then I got Strus still. I like that tandem, personally. So I think Humble is out. Did Humble dip too? Or no, Humble's back. You there, Humble? Is the Humble man there? I think we
Yep,
have Humble.
I
Yeah, I
got you.
got you.
I got you. Yep.
But what do you think of that, Humble? I mean, I think you kind of said it. I'm only bringing him back if I sign him, because I'm not trying to subtract. And if he wants to sign here with Giannis and Allen, hey, we'll have a great starting five. But if not, if we get Giannis though, I think, and when I still got Strus and I can retool my bench, I think with like I was saying with Giannis and Mitchell, and then I got Allen and Harden still, and then Strus, and then some new pieces. I think Humble, we can do something there.
I love to think that way. As long as we still bring back Struce, and the bench needs some work on.
Oh yeah.
Clearly.
Are you on my side now? It's time to move on from certain people on that bench.
Oh, 100%.
Tractor's got to go.
Well, he's got to go. I still think that Sam Merrill pickup was a little iffy. I think we could have got some more dogs. I don't know. Like, I get the Strus and Sam, they could shoot, right? But it's just, I don't see a lot of value.
Put their pride aside. Let's be honest.
Yeah, man.
We get it. You found Naquan Tomlin. You found Dean Wade. You found Sam Merrill, who I think is a good shooter. I'm not saying I'm out on Sam. Jalen Tyson, I think, is actually a good player. Just, I don't know. Greg Porter Jr., I think, is actually a good player. I think Keon Ellis still has upside. But you got Tyrese Proctor. Like, you have some younger guy like Tyson, Porter, Ellis, and Proctor. Those are the four. I'm like, I'd like to keep them around just for depth reasons, but I don't think you can do bad there with those four, Humble. But Dean Wade, Naquan Tomlin, and Sam Merrill, and Thomas Bryant, and Larry Nance's gonna be off the roster, so it's like you got to do a little better there.
Yeah, I mean, I know Wally just left the chat, but I know he was a big believer of saying that the bench when we first got it was nothing to really to get excited about. I know we traded DeAndre Hunter. I mean, I gotta ask. I mean, maybe that's the X factor we could have used as far as a small forward. You let go of Ty Jerome, which I mean that alone, I thought that project you guys let go of really too quick. I think we could have used Ty Jerome and Hunter against New York, personally, if you ask me. But yeah, Harden, like I was trying to basically get at is we're getting less and less to this core that we had. And the more that you get less into the core, Joe, we all know is we get all these veterans, guys who are tired when it comes down to the postseason, guys who can't show up because they're tired and they're old. That leaves me to wonder, after the core is gone, it always goes back to the one word that we all hate is rebuild.
Well, yeah, but I think if you get Giannis, you're not looking towards a rebuild anytime soon.
Yeah,
because you still have Giannis and Mitchell no matter what. So I don't think they're not anywhere near a rebuild. They're just they're in a retooling phase right now, and I think what they're retooling, I think what you're gonna see is a shift in the franchise about who could be the face of the franchise, and I think that's where the significant changes will be coming. I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see them take that next step, like Dan Gilbert said. They got to elevate even more. You build a young core, you get where you get to, like to this point, but then at some point you got to make the necessary moves to elevate. And I think that's what they're going to do. Once you get that 1-2 punch and you got that solid one like Giannis and Mitchell, you can build around those guys for years to come.
No, 100%. I mean, they still got youth and a lot of heart to them, and I'm just, yeah, I like you said, we've been saying it all season. Is Donovan Mitchell a real leader?
Nah.
Yeah, and you see it.
I think he tries, but he's just not a number one on a team. That's all it is.
He's a little too small. He's not a D Wade. And I mean, D Wade didn't care about a 3 ball. He was just aggressive all night.
And D Wade had Shaq, who did it before,
Well, Shaq, but
and then he
I
had
mean,
LeBron, who was the real number one.
right, right. But he showed
He
him how to win.
He had somebody. Well, Pat Riley showed LeBron how to win, just like Pat
Yeah,
Riley.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what
The
it was.
culture. It was culture.
Right. It was Pat Riley, but he still had somebody to lean on. Donovan don't have anybody to lean on. That's like that dude. Like Shaq was Shaq. You know what I mean? He won 3 championships when he got there. So already, and
Right,
was
no,
most
yeah.
dominant player in basketball. LeBron was LeBron. Like he needs that. He needs Giannis.
Yeah, and Giannis won by himself. It's
Right.
not
So
like
imagine you pair them together with that ownership and that money and how aggressive they are, and you still got some pieces here. Like now you're cooking. I think. I think they're a Giannis away. They've always been a piece away, in my opinion. They're always
Yeah.
that one last piece away to me. And I think that's the piece they need.
I agree. I mean, Giannis, like I said, a Euro guy, a guy with edge, guy who came to the States, a guy who's won in the States, a guy who won in organization that hadn't been won since Kareem and those guys. Um, so there's a lot of respect when it comes to Giannis. As far as I'm concerned, I actually loved Giannis growing up in high school, Joe. I loved his story. I just felt he was gonna blossom. I just felt there was no guy since LeBron to have that structure and just the physicality that I just felt there was something different about Giannis, and just seeing him blossom throughout the years is just incredible. I know he's had a couple of problems in the playoffs, but the player that he is by himself, like you said, no real help, kind of like LeBron James in his first couple of seasons, but was able to figure it out ultimately against the baby Phoenix Suns, which was actually a really good team. I know you liked Monty Williams, head coach.
He was down 0-2 as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And that game, closeout game, 50 points. I mean, he was dominant. So
I still can't believe reading some of those stats online. I mean, just
But
incredible.
I know a way, Humble, and we'll close out with this. I know a way we can lure him here. Or not that, I mean, he kind of doesn't have a choice anyways, but how we can really seal the deal. Giannis, I think, would like Cleveland. You know why? Remember this clip? We have the best chicken wings in the United States, maybe the world. Here was Giannis back 4 years ago.
What was that? Recording in progress.
What you guys got?
So the first time you saw them in early December, Chris post game was like, "That's a much better team, and Cleveland's got something going." So what? Obviously they played well tonight. What did you see from them? Maybe come in the cut-ups, and then what did you see tonight?
We sucked. Played bad. They made shots. They played good. They played better than us.
Yeah, he didn't care about they got their ass blown out, Humble. He just loved those damn chicken wings. So, hey, if I'm Dan Gilbert, all you can eat wings all year long in Cleveland.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Maybe hey, and they got a Quaker steak right in the stadium too. That's why they get the wings after the game. Shout out the Quaker steak. They want to sponsor. They can sponsor anytime. But anyways, just hit your boy up. Emails in the link below. But anyways, I could see it happening, Humble. I think it's a lot more likely than it was before last night. I'll tell you, I thought Dan Gilbert's tweet really signaled the report you're hearing today that it's coming. Something's coming. Something big is coming. And I think you're going to see a shift in the leader of the franchise. I think that's what's going to happen personally.
It's got to happen.
It
It's
has
gotta
to.
happen.
That's the only way you justify bringing Kenny back either, as well. So, shout out to Mama Lemon. She says hi everyone. Shout out to you, Mom. And so that's what we got for you guys today. The end of season recap. What we think is going to happen moving forward. Please like, subscribe, and share. Go subscribe to my guy Humble's channel. Humble, where can they find you at?
Humble Man MMA. Can't wait for the card this weekend. It's gonna be in China. It's 4:00 in the morning. Song Yudong, Davison Figueiredo. Just a nice little fight night card, but can't watch it. I understand it's pretty early to be watching fights, but
Unless
come
you're a
over to my
diehard.
channel. Right.
I'll get up at 1 in the morning. Why not?
Come on over to my channel. We'll talk some MMA and come back up here with Joe. You'll see me here often and talk about sports. And we appreciate you guys tapping in on the playback or if you're watching right now.
Absolutely. Shout out to all you guys and shout out to Humble and Wiley and everybody in the chat today and shout out to Bruce and everybody for tuning in today and joining us. And it's always still go Cavs. We'll be back.
Always.
And
Always.
maybe next year we'll be back at a different having a different conversation. I got a feeling we might be. So gotta be optimistic, but please like, subscribe, and share all that good stuff, and we will see you the next one. We're out of here. Go.